One of them that you see a lot in contemporary thinking, which really drives me crazy, is that it's a conflation of the notion of what is widely accepted to be a fact with what is a fact. And the reason people make this conflation is that they think, well, you know, if somebody says that something is a fact, nobody has, they think, access to the facts. I mean, if people are disputing whether something is a fact, there is the fact that, as it were, one person believes it's a fact and the other person doesn't believe it. And then one person, the person who believes that it's a fact, might be supported by a whole bunch of other people, all of whom also believe that it's a fact. And so it becomes a widely accepted fact. And when those kinds of situations, they can bully the person who doesn't believe it's a fact, or they can outnumber them, or they can outlive them, or they can whatever. They will somehow prevail. And so what really matters is whether something is widely accepted to be a fact. How could it matter whether it is or is not a fact? And so through that process and maybe a few other steps, you begin to eliminate the notion of something's being a fact, and you replace it with the notion of something's being accepted to be a fact. Now, this notion of being accepted, widely accepted or taken for granted to be a fact, is a socially constructed notion. You see, that is because it's a fact about societies, whether or not they accept something to be a fact.
Could you give examples of either?
Yes, so, you know, of course, something that's widely accepted to be a fact is that the Earth revolves around the Sun and not the other way around, which is what people used to think. Or if you like, that the Earth is spherical, not flat, which is what a long time ago, before the Greeks, people used to think. Well, I mean, quite an understandable view. When you look around, it looks kind of flat, except for the bumpiness.
So is that an agreement about...
Widely accepted to be a fact.
Rather than a fact in itself?
Well, so what I'm saying is that what people sometimes get themselves into a frame of mind of thinking is we don't need the notion of a fact. What we need is just the notion of a widely accepted to be a fact, because that's really what matters. They're mistaken in this, but that's, I think, part of the motivation. They just think whether something is or is not a fact drops out as irrelevant. What really matters socially, what really matters in the argument is whether something is widely accepted to be a fact. And you can see this in the way in which journalists talk like this, you know. So they will say things like, is evolution a fact or just an opinion or just a theory? That's the contrast. Is it a fact or is it just a theory? Where they mean, is this something that people are toying around with, or is it widely accepted? But that's a terrible, that is a misguided way of thinking about things, because what you're aiming at when you aim to discover whether to accept something as a fact and then whether to make it to be a widely accepted fact is whether it is a fact. So, you know, what people were trying to figure out is, what is the shape of the Earth? Yes, they used to believe it's flat, let's say, and then people thought, well, there's some very interesting astronomical data that can't be accounted for if you think that it's just some disk. Right? After all, for instance, you know, things seem to dip over the horizon as you walk towards them one direction or another. And so, you know, actually the evidence seems to suggest that it's spherical, which is surprising and a magnificent achievement of human reason to have figured that out on the basis of very spare information. But what they were trying to do is figure out what the facts are. They weren't trying to figure out what the widely accepted facts are. We know what the widely accepted facts are. In fact, one of the things that went on in that case is that you replaced one widely accepted fact with another.